Hello. Welcome to LangTalent. This year on the first version of LangTalent for 2025. We are going to be doing a few more of these throughout the year, but we want to welcome everyone who is listening to this or who is watching this as a recording, and for all of those that are live. For all of those of you to know, we are fortunate to have around 13 to 1400 registrations to this event. So we're very grateful for everyone who has decided to join the conversation. We want to remind you of several different things. Of course, if you've been following what we've been doing since last year from Multilingual Media, LangTalent is the stage where we talk about the future of work. We do have a specific emphasis on language and language services, the language industry, translation, interpretation, but also all of the other professions that within language exist, right? Software development, graphic design, project management, and many more. We are grateful, like I said, to have over 1,400 registrations for this event. We have an amazing lineup for today. We've had to move some of our talks to a future period of time, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I want to tell you a little bit about the program today and what we're going to be doing. So depending on where you are around the world, it's 7 a.m. for me, Pacific time. For those that are in, Colombia, home country, is around 10. It's 9 a.m. over there, and then other places in Europe, we understand it's the afternoon. Before we look into the program, for those of you that are listening to this over LinkedIn, over YouTube, hello. Tell us where you are from. Say your city and country. While we look at the program for today, we are going to get started with a conversation on mental health and wellness in remote work. We're going to be seeing the specifics of the impact remote work has on mental health and wellness, some of the issues that are already identified in mental wellness around the world, and what are some of the things that we see in our industry and what remote work does to our industry, so language industry. We will also talk about the future of work in the language industry, but also in general in tech companies. We have Sebastian Gallo, co-founder and chief operating officer at Torre.ai. Amazing place. They work with human resources and artificial intelligence to help companies find talent. Charles Campbell, who is the founder and president on TBO and the entire group, including TBO Talent. Great experiences he's had with offices in Argentina, Peru, Ukraine, and Vietnam. We'll talk more about Charles and with Charles later on. And Paula McGrath, which is a professional recruitment professional, my apologies, with over 20 years of experience in international hiring. We'll talk about the future of work. We talk about how workplaces are evolving, and I think it's going to be a great session for everyone today. So Emilia from Napoli, I see some, but not everyone's messages. Sao Paulo, Brazil. Chengdu City, China. I've been to Chengdu, Michael. Many years ago, I had the chance to. Yeah, and I saw pandas, and I was very scared of them. They look very cute, but dangerous at the same time. Barbara Pozzi, Milan, Italy. Oh, I really like the Chengdu one, Michael. Sao Paulo, Brazil. Italy, El Vos. Who else do I see here? I don't see. Claremont, Florida. Someone. France, Emily. Hello. Camila Savogal, she's not saying anything, but she's in the background helping us, making LangTalent. Cledion, Philly. I really wanted to stop by Philadelphia. I stopped at the airport, and there's just something when you say Philadelphia. Maybe it's the show, right? It's always sunny in Philadelphia. Might be that, but it seems very attractive to visit. No Colombianos today. That is fine. Once again, we want to say hello to everyone who is logging in from different parts of the world on YouTube, Italy, Venice, Luis Satono, and also on YouTube, if you Minsk, Belarus. Pink face, pink drinking face. All right, thanks Eddie for organizing this edition of LangTalent. Hello everyone tuning in from Interprenet in Chicago. Oh my gosh, Chicago, they got the deep dish pizzas. Have you tried them? I'm not gonna say I'm a big fan. Christian Trips, oh yeah. Mexico City, Tony, we were just there. Vamos Juntos, Charles Campbell, who is gonna be with us today. He's one of the organizers of Vamos Juntos. This year was organizing Mexico City, Tony, and it was a great visit. We were there with the multilingual team. Derby, UK. NIMSI Insights, our partner, is going to be in the UK significantly this year. We will be also in the UK in the EST conference in Leeds, UK. If anyone's it's over there, we'll say hi. Italy. All right, it's great to see. Athens, Greece, Renata Liapis, Ligia Fonseca. Oye, saudade. How are my languages? How am I doing? All right. So thank you everyone once again. We will get started with the first presentation on mental health and also remote work, and then we'll get onto the panel on the future of work. Before that, of course, if you have not yet registered or actually followed us on Spotify, this is a great opportunity. You can look at the QR, just scan the QR code that you have, and you will see there the conversations that we've had in the past few months, including the conversations from LangTalent last year, and then also for LangTalent overall, so the ones that we've done. So conversations outside of this event. The conversation that we're having today will also be added into Spotify with the good bits, of course. And you see, why is this not? Oh, this one out. So this one is for Apple Podcast. So we have a Spotify and Apple Podcast. If you don't have if you listen on Apple Podcast, you can do the one that we did before, and this one is for Spotify. And I just wanted to show you what you will see if you have not yet clicked on it. So if I go to Spotify, it opens up, and then there you go. It shows all of the previous conversations we've had. And we will add the two that we'll have today and the previous ones. The last one was building culture and careers at 6 continents with the wonderful Gaetan Chertini, not the founder and CEO of 6 continents. Right there. Well, okay. You get what I'm saying. We also have our amazing newsletter, the Weekly Digest. We send it out every Wednesday, curated by the wonderful Camila Sabogal, who is in the back end of this. You can also subscribe right now. Subscribe. Yo-Yo. Who's Yo-Yo? Oh, Mila is Yo-Yo. Ethiopia. Temesgen and LinkedIn. Wonderful to see you here, man. Weekly Digest, like I was saying, it goes out every Wednesday. If you have announcements, I'll have a few of those call to actions in my presentation. But if you have any announcements, we publish those on the Weekly Digest at no cost. We have amazing sponsors for a Weekly Digest. I think at the end we should get a chance to look at our buyer's guide and show everyone who makes this possible. 4 people have already scanned the QR code. We are happy to see you. Go to the Weekly Digest and get all that juicy information for free. If you haven't had your coffee today, well, if you're not a coffee person, or your tea, your drink of preference, water, this is a good time to get it. We will then start for team people. For team people have already clicked on the Weekly Digest. France, Zoe, Bruno from Brussels, Belgium. Bruno, it's nice to see you again. How's Germany, Martin? Brugmeier. All right. Thank you everyone for joining today. Mila, please correct me if I'm wrong. You're going to be sharing the presentation, and I will be talking, right? I'll do my best. I'll do my best to keep track of how we are doing this. We will get started then with our conversation on. Whoa, sorry, Mila, I just got a crash notice on my browser. Can you still hear me? All right, give me a signal of some sort. Utrecht, Maria Luisa Martin from the Netherlands. Fantastic. All right. You're good. Thank you so much, Mila. Once again, thank you everyone for joining us today. This is LangTalent for 2025. Those that have joined us know what we are talking about. First presentation, mental health and wellness in remote work. And then we'll get into our panel about the future of work. And we'll talk more about those details. We will have a chance to ask for questions, but feel free to leave any comments, whether you are on LinkedIn or YouTube. And we will of course keep your comments live. We will share them with the community. If you have any questions along the way, just make sure that you mention that. So the first thing, what we will talk about today, and that's the next slide, Mila. Or is it better if I do it? Oh, you do it, Mila. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'll try to give you a heads up. So we're going to be talking about, where I come from, what I do. We'll also have a bit of a questionnaire to see where we stand in what we know about remote work and what kind of like our arrangement is. We're going to be looking at statistics about remote work and what it does. Before that, we'll look into statistics on mental health and some considerations. We'll then look at a case study that I find very interesting from an IMSI research on remote work and global dispersion. So very quickly we'll do that, and then we'll get into some questions if necessary. If not, this is an invitation, but there is a little bit of a small concept in there that I'd like to cover. But overall, we should be done with this within the next 35 minutes, and then we can have a conversation before the panel. But a little bit about myself before we go ahead. And if you don't know me, I am the CEO here at Multilingual Media. We have a different media outlets, including Multilingual Magazine, which is a 38-year-old magazine reference in the industry, and of course with a huge reputation. And most of you probably know Multilingual. We also have Localization Today as a podcast. We have LangTalent as a podcast. We have the C-Suite Hot Seat, and soon to release Echoes of Meaning. We will keep you posted on that. We are also creating different intellectual properties around the world with the help of different partners. So you'll see some of those news very soon. I studied international business and a minor in economics. I did some French. Can't speak any of that French. I did work for a bit in Torre, Multilingual Media. I also co-founded my own companies. That's a fun fact. I'm the co-founder of a bakery called Maria Bonita, which is there. But that's a little bit about myself. What else can I tell you about myself? Well, where I come from a small state. Well, I have a family. Mila, if you can put the next one, please. So I have a family we're a family of four. I'd say five because we have a dachshund, the sausage dog. We live in a small state or departamento, like we call it, a state in Colombia called Sucre, and the city where I live is Sincelejo. I can tell you different things about Sucre, so I'll just show you pictures of it. That's in the Gulf of Morrosquillo, very hot all year round. You can go sunbathe. You could go for tourism. I'll find you good deals. You can also find over there agriculture in great extension, and you can also find there large bodies of fresh water. So that's where I come from, very tropical, very hot, and that's probably why I speak the way I speak and I do the things the way I do them. Um, we will and should talk about you as well. So we want you to tell us a bit about who you are. Don't do it in the chat or the comments yet. We're going to share a QR code. So Mila, if you could share the QR code and put some music so that people are answering the questions while they're listening to music. I think that's a better arrangement. So what you're going to find there is a Mentimeter questionnaire. I think I needed to activate it. Did I activate it now? Let's see. You can try it, Mila. That'd be great as well. Sure. All right. Yeah, I'm starting seeing some of the answers. So the first question we have there is, what work arrangement do you have right now? What work arrangement do you have right now? Maybe, just maybe, this is a good opportunity to share my screen. I'll make it more fun, Mila. So I'm gonna erase it. All right, thanks for those that are completing it. Oh. Chicago style pizza comments. Good people in the world. So I see 40 of you are already in them within the survey. I just want to show the responses, but for some reason I can't. Weird. You know what? I'm gonna hack it. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Definitely. Let's cancel this. Aha. I gotcha. It cannot. Okay. Mila, I'm sharing the screen. Could you share the... yes. Here we are, people. So we have 49 of you. How many of you are... So the first question is, what work arrangements do you have right now? Second question is, where are you located? City, country. City, country. So 40 of you, if you can respond, can you? Hey, Nantes, France. If you haven't realized, you just go to menti.com, use the code 39 and 53, even 89, 61, 17. I don't see, big fan of the energy. It shows that you really love what you do. Thank you. We love what we do, really do. Okay, we're getting some responses. For some reason, I don't see. Let's manage the responses. The idea is that we all get, right? Results for the entire slide. No. View results. Why is this not showing us the results, people? Maybe because many of you have not. Oh, okay, there we go. So 39 of you are fully remote. 13 are 50-50, and then 1/3. Is that what that means? Yes, that's what it should mean. Okay, now we're getting some responses. Très fantastique. But come on, Menti, you need to show me. You need to show me. It gives us an idea. Located. Okay, Argentina, Greece, Poland, Lille, France, Warsaw, Miami, Buenos Aires. Truly global. Truly global. We have Dubai. Fantastic. We need more Asian representation. Need to find some times there. Okay, so coming back here. We need to see more. 21 of you have responded. 28 responses now. It's changing, of course. Many of you are there. Mila, I stopped sharing because I saw my camera was frozen, but I see beautiful results there. So we have Italy, Big France, 55 responses. Thank you, everyone, for putting all such an amazing effort. I'll show the results as we're moving along. The next question. Wonderful. Over 50 responses. Love it. Next question is, what's your role position? What's your role position? If you had not yet, the mentee, let's put it in there. We already have 62 responses as well. Big Italy, lots of people from Italy, Germany as well, Canada, just came from Canada, love it. Paris, France, UK, Derby, UK, Sao Paulo, oh my gosh, Rosario, nobody from Cordoba, oh my gosh, what is this? Buenos Aires, Venezuela, Netherlands, England, Chengdu. Oh, such spicy food. You wouldn't believe how spicy Chengdu is. They say pandas, but they don't talk about how spicy it is. I was in Sichuan province, right? Chengdu. Then I went to Changsha. France, Italy. France big now. Italy, big Italy. Wonderful. I think we'll get over 100 responses. This is great. We'll come back to this one. We're gonna see the interpreters. I'm gonna share because it's so powerful when you see when you visualize it. Maybe it's weird that it doesn't. Global consultant. Paula. I will make it small again. Our panelists are gonna love this, by the way. Our panelists are gonna love this. I'm gonna share it again just like I did before, Mila, with the hope that. Okay. I hope it's okay, Mila, if I share it again. Let's hope it doesn't freeze this time. So like we were looking at, most of you work fully remote. 20% of you are about 50-50 remote, and then some of you are fully in person. Then we talk about locations. This is where most of you are located. It's beautiful. I love the world. Philadelphia. Oh my gosh, you have to write it down. You have to spell it out. Want to be in that part of the world during fall. I've never experienced it on that side of the world. And in Colombia, we don't have seasons, so we don't have like fall, and we don't have any of that. Positions. This is what we have here: translators, freelance translators, interpreters, project managers, freelance linguist. Cambridge, UK. That was from the previous one, but it's good. It's good. It's good. Maybe that's a role. People operations manager, job seeker, HR guru. Oh my God, I need that guru. Those gurus, I need to interview you for LangTalent. Talk to Camila Sabogal. We'll make it happen. Self-employed linguist, terminologist, teacher, bilingual education, people operations manager. Great. MTPE, COO, manager. Wonderful. Wonderful. Now, top 3 challenges when working remote. For those that are working remote, those that don't work remote and work from an office, they're kind of working remote. It's just that they're like 4 meters away, but it's always remote. I'm kidding. Terrible jokes, right, Camila? Thank you. Thank you for confirming. I needed it. 3 top challenges for working remote. And I'll tell you, for me, the first one was always time management. You all of a sudden had all the time. Like, it became all the time. So it's like 16 hours. It's all the time. So properly managing time, that's a big one. Sure. Let's see what you have to say. Let's see what you have. So concentration, productivity. It's interesting. Productivity is interesting. Is it overall like output, production output, or per hour productivity? I've found people that just work less hours and devote more hours to their well-being so that they can perform at a very high level for very specific periods of time. Working alone and stability, motivation, stepping away from the computer, setting clear time boundaries, separating work and personal time, poor internet connection. Oh, we hate that. Productivity, communication effectively in high level, yes. Time management, focus, seeing what others are doing, kind of like following up, right? Let's hope we have some very practical things that we've learned to share with you today. Separating work, we talked focus, proper furniture. Oh yeah, when you're starting, especially, no free coffee. No free coffee. That is correct. Time management, work with flow. Yeah, this one is like, I don't wanna show the brand. They are not paying us. No, I'm kidding. This is you can guess. Imagine how good it is. It's oil. Staying focused, time management, good workflow, concentration, motivation, time management, not defined schedules, lack of physical contact with my partners and speakers. With my, I don't get that one, but with my booth partner. Oh, my booth partner speakers. Oh, I think I get it. I don't. Feeling alone, concentration. If you could reward it, that'd be great. Life-work balance, loneliness, income fluctuation. Oh, okay, yeah. If you're paid in like dollars and kind of things, yeah. Company engagement, motivation, getting a hold of others, you need to contact, time zone, wages, life or time management, lack of personal contact, lack of spontaneous information exchange. That's a really good one. Lack of boundaries, kind of like the water cooler type thing. I've seen some fun solutions for that, but you're right. There is something about physical connection that it's very important to have. There are ways. Finding clients, keeping clients, networking, that's right, communicating mostly via email, internet, distractions. I know we are already 30 minutes in, I understand. separation of personal and professional time, maintaining work-life balance, tech issues, time zone differences. Yeah, time zone differences can be a big one, especially if you have partners in places like India, Japan, and you are in the Americas. Then it can get tricky. I can see that completely. We can go back to this at the end and see also if our panelists will have some recommendations, which I think they are gonna love it. They are gonna love it. Lack of in-person teamwork, family team members. I love retreats, company retreats. And when you have so much time that you never talk to one another, really what you want to do is hang out. That's what you want to do. You want to build strong relationships. You want to do, play board games. You want to go out. You want to work in the park, walk in the park. You don't want to be doing work. That's what you usually do when you are in front of a computer with your teammates. So yeah, I think retreats are amazing. Setting quantitative goals, family members respecting boundaries. Yeah, tell me about it. I have two children. So right now I'm traveling, so they're not like coming in. Usually they'll be at school this time, but oh my Lord. Tech issues. Yes, I feel you. I feel you. Booth partner. Conference interpreter. I get you. Yeah, it's not the same. You're like showing something. Yeah, I know. Good system documentation, psychological and mental well-being due to wear and tear. Motivation, working alone, time management. Très fantastic. You are all really amazing. We're making this really worth our while. Really great. How do I go to the next percent? What do you expect from this session? What do you expect from this session? I want to be humble. I want to make sure that I tell you ahead of time what this is about and what this is not about. While you do that, I will. You know what's bothering me? All this swag that I got at the events. I'm gonna show you what I got. All this swag that's on my bed. So I'm gonna show you. So right now I'm at a niche magazine conference. So there are other magazines just like Multilingual that cover other places. You'd be surprised how many of those are. And then they have some amazing printouts. Some amazing printouts. So, magazines, this is where we are. And they gave me this little thing. It's like a container rack. I don't know what the name is in English. It says Diva in Spanish. And then they put like paper on top. We're in the print business. We're not in the print business. We're in the business of content creation. But great. So what do you expect from this session? I know this one is scary. You can give me an answer there. Oh, you're still, of course, you're still telling me about your challenges. I understand. Yes. It will start soon. Don't worry. What do you expect? Write it there. We'll see at the end if you have it. Mila, we can go now to the presentation by global by immediate demand. So feel free to ask questions along the session, just like I said. You go to the ask questions here. Now we know a little bit about you. We know about your remote setting, and this will really inform the next sessions as well. So let's get started with some mental health statistics. And you can now turn down the music, Mila. So some of these surprised me. Some others didn't. What you will find in the literature around is that the numbers get close to one another. It's probably an underrepresentation of what is actually happening. So 1 in every 6 people have experienced mental health problems in the workplace. So we're talking about global numbers and statistics specific to the UK in this case, right? If you look at global numbers that are very old numbers, 2018, 2016, you will see something similar. This next number is something that there is much more of a consensus on. About uh, 12 billion working days are lost every year to depression and anxiety. So what that really means is about $1 trillion wasted. So these 1 in 16 people that experience mental health problems in the workplace is about 14.7%. Um, one of the things that you have seen, of course, since the pandemic 2020 is how at least 81% of workplaces have increased their focus on employees' mental health. That's just a big one. Um, of course, what's important about mental health statistics and why we're talking about this is what it means for productivity and what it means for who we are as human beings. And it's about 13% of happy employees being much more productive than others. Other statistics that you will find around is that at least 1 in 3 employees still feel the mental health support in their workplace it's inadequate, which is a crazy number. But we'll come back to this. The next one, Mila, is also important. 61% of UK employees said that they left a job or planned to leave a job within the next month because of poor mental health. This is also true for other countries. So a lot of people, what they say is that they are clear on the cost, on the consequences that this is having in their lives. They are clear on what's causing it, but they are not clear on identifying it as a mental health issue. So it's very important that, of course, in this conversation, we don't diagnose anything or anyone, but that at least we have a conversation so that we personally can start thinking about it. Some of the other statistics are going to be about the average number of days that people take throughout the year. So when you go for sick leave, so what are people saying that they go out for? And that's the next one, Mila. And you'd say, injuries and that type of other sicknesses would be up there, but the top one for sick leave is stress, depression, or anxiety. Stress, depression, or anxiety. And we're not even talking yet about remote work. We're talking mostly about overall work, so in all different types of places. And then the next one, Mila, that it's going to be talking about different industries and statistics that are interesting for different industries. So 54% of employees in the tech industries were more on weekends and in the evenings than before COVID. And they some will refer to this like pejoratively as the tech bros and things like that. And it's just a part of the tech culture, right? People working on weekends and evenings and in the middle of the night. I've seen it, I've done it, and it's part of the culture. 86% of finance organizations increase in demand for mental health support. So people working in the finance sector, an increased demand in mental health support is going to be, getting therapy and different other activities. 45% of workers in construction engineering have taken time off because of poor mental well-being. 45%. This is construction. So we've done tech, finance, construction, and then the education sector turnover rate 70%. Post-COVID showing a steep decline in mental well-being. These are crazy numbers. What are some of the things? Why would this mean anything, right? That would be the next question. So the risks that we have to mental health at work would include, and this is according to the World Health Organization, right? Underuse of skills or being under-skilled for work, excessive workloads or work pace, long unsocial or inflexible hours, lack of control, So these are the risks to mental health. My apologies. These are the risks to mental health. Organizational culture that enables negative behaviors, limited support for colleagues or authoritarian supervision, violence, harassment, or bullying, discrimination and exclusion, unclear job role, under or over promotion. Under or over promotion, imagine that. Over promotion is a risk to mental health. Like giving people titles they don't yet should have, just to make them feel good, so that you don't give them a salary increase. You kind of like make them feel good, but it's really not doing that. Job insecurity, inadequate pay or poor investment in career development, and conflicting home work demands, something internal to the family. So if these things are present in your organization, it's very likely that some of these things could happen. And I think we know, intuitively, what remote work has done for mental health for a lot of people. So very important this conversation doesn't turn into or that it's understood kind of like me advocating for remote work as a cure to mental health, because what's really true is that mental health is it's a human condition that takes place regardless of your work environment. It has so many variables that it doesn't only include the work that we do, but it's very important. So next, let's talk a little bit about some statistics on remote work. So the big one is 54% of workers want to be remote. Meaning people that are in person right now. Mila, if you can go to the next one. 54% of those workers want to be remote. Now, 84% of remote workers recognize stress reduced by not having to commute. Meaning the recognition that you don't have to get in a bus or go in a train or do these things or that your stress reduction coming from not having to do that, not having to commute. 33% of remote workers report better mental health as compared to previous arrangements. So previous to what they were experiencing before they were remote workers. And 30% of remote workers think their professional progression had increased because of the remote work condition or situation. Once again, I hope we get the right message on remote work. Now, what struggles do you have with working remotely? You have mentioned a few challenges yourselves. Let me show you some statistics and let's see where you fall under that. And this is from Buffer. So 31% say that they don't have any struggles with working remotely. 25% not being able to unplug. We saw some of those in your comments. 24% loneliness. You've mentioned some of those. 21% staying motivated, working across time zones, difficulty focusing, working more, 20%. So productivity, we saw a little bit about that. Difficulties with collaboration and communication, and career advancement growth. So while some are saying that it's improving their career, someone's saying it's not improving their career, of course, because there is a social element to improving your careers. It's not only that. So if we could summarize a little bit what the benefits of remote work are, we'll probably see in general three things that are going to be said about remote work. And that is the next slide, Mila. The first one being work-life integration. So we've seen the concept of work-life balance. When we were working in Torre, we had the opportunity to learn about it, just a spin to the concept, right? Which is work-life integration, meaning you don't separate work and life. It's just work is part of your life, and you have to integrate it in a seamless way so that it amplifies your principles. Not only that it aligns with your principles, but that it amplifies your principles. Then autonomy, right? You get autonomy, you have flexibility, and you have control. But if you don't put the rail guards in place, then you won't be productive. We've seen that. It's kind of like already covered in our conversation. And then the commute stress reduction. That's a huge benefit, because that commute stress reduction, or that commute in itself, can be exchange for something else, like going to the gym or doing yoga or meditating or praying, whatever is the thing that you do. Um, However, I would say that the biggest takeaway for today from me to you is understanding what the real world has taught me, Eddie Arrieta. So this is the next slide, Mila. And what the real world has taught me is that mental health issues arise whether you work from the office 100% or whether you work 50-50 or whether you work 100% remote. Like remote work, can it help on certain elements? Yes, 100%. I agree with that idea. I can point to those things. We can't point to those things. It has other challenges. And if those challenges are not addressed structurally, then you're going to fall into those again. As an example, if you don't meet with your team every so often in person, or if you don't go to conferences to meet your clients, relationships erode. That's just a fact. So meeting in person amplifies that. And what I've seen is structures where even if you're 100% remote, you can take the budget that you're saving to have strategic meetups around the world, and then you increase significantly your approach. So what I've seen is that whether I've worked 100% in person physically, which I have done, 50-50, which I have done, or 100% remote, which I have done, what I have figured out is that in any instances where I have had to use the instruments that help me cope with mental weaknesses, let's say, or health issues, mental health issues, it's been because of a misalignment in what I do. So I started exploring the concept of Ikigai a long time ago, and there are many methodologies and there are many concepts, but I found Ikigai to be the most adaptable, I'd say, to understanding stages in professional career, but also to look into what it is that we can do really well, and that it can bring much more peace internally, so that we can perform at the highest levels. So Ikigai, what it means, if you've never heard of it, I'll just explain it very quickly. But if you've never heard of it, is how it has four concentric circles conceptually, and there's one that talks about what you love. So this is a concept that means Ikigai means a reason for being. But then you look at these concentric circles, and then you have what you love to do, things that you love to do, whether it's arts and craft or reading or writing or talking or moving documents or coding. Like, if you love it, what it is that you love translating, fantastic. That is one thing. Then you're looking at what you're good at, and I can tell you I love music, but I'm not particularly great at it. I'm not amazing at it. So that's one thing. I love it. I'm not very good at it. So can I put it there? Probably not, right? And then what the world needs is another circle. So you have what you love at the very top. Then to the left, you have what you're good at. And then to the right, what the world needs. And that's a tricky one, because what does the world need? What does the world need? But I think we understand something that makes the world a better place. And that's where we get into the conversation about language access and whatnot. And then finally, what can you be paid for? It is great to love it. It's great if the world needs it. It's great if you're good at, but if nobody is going to pay you a salary for it, then you're kind of like in a different stage. So you have things in between sometimes, but the ideal scenario is that we found something that we are amazing at. We're technically really good at it. The world desperately needs it. People are willing to pay us for it. And we love doing that. That's called Ikigai. And Ikigai has allowed me to see places where perhaps I'm doing things that I'm getting paid for. The world needs it, and I'm really good at it, but I don't love it. I don't love it. So I would probably be in a vocation or a profession, right? Somewhere in here. That's what I have. But I haven't reached Ikigai. So I think this is a concept that's very important to keep in mind. And then when we talk about mental well-being, and we're talking about remote work, we have to understand that remote work is going to be here to stay. And I'll show you in a little bit in the next 5 minutes why remote work is here to stay for our industry in particular, so the language industry, but for other industries as well. So it's very critical that teams, from my perspective, and me as a leader, right, it's very important that our team members understand concepts like ikigai, and that our team members start understanding their responsibility to find this place within what they do. And there are wonderful companies around the world that are so flexible that help you kind of like try to find a sweet spot. And ideally, we can all reach ikigai. But let's talk a little bit about what it's happening in the language industry, so that you have an idea of what I'm talking about. Mila, if you can share the next slide. I don't see any comments. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, that's great. Sandra Boca says, interesting theory. It's about Ikigai. El Boss says, I know Ikigai, have a book on it. Great. Please share the name of the book so that other people look into it. Fantastic. So the information I'm going to show you comes from an IMSI research, which is the next slide, Mila, on remote work and global dispersion from globalization teams. There is an article about this online in the NIMSI website. I will probably share with you, we will share with you the slides so you have them in front of you. But this study is a survey of localization professionals. It was done through social media and email. Mila, if you can put the next slide. Results are sorted by company type and size. So team size, team members, locations. So we are focusing, or they were focusing rather, on the importance of access to remote work and the importance of having multiple locations, which is called global dispersion, at least to begin with. So the benefits, which is the next slide, you will see graphs in the article and all of that, but the benefits of having a globally dispersed team, what's most important is proximity to local audiences, 79%. That's why they do remote, because they have proximity to local audiences. So this is critical. Follow the sun model time zone coverage, 64%. Increasing team diversity, 64%. Proximity to local supply chains, again, 57%. And increase equality. What's less important to LSBs? Reducing costs, 36%, compliance reasons, 21%, and team members to travel, 14%. That's not as important. Now, LSPs, many of you probably work at LSPs. Many LSPs work with us. Follow the sun model, 84%. Increased team diversity, 84, 27, 24/7 project coverage, 80%. Proximity to local global audiences, 68%, and proximity to local supplies is more important for LSPs. What's less important? Reducing costs, not as important. Increase equality, also decrease silos internally, opportunities for team members to travel. So they're important, but not as important. Now there are downsides to it. The next one will tell us about the downsides, Mila. What's most important to LSBs? Lack of face-to-face interactions. We've talked about that. Complexity of managing remote teams, 64%. Time zone challenges and availability. Less important, compliance challenges, managing cultural differences, need to travel. To LSPs, lack of face-to-face, of course, 75%. Time zone challenges, 71%. Complexity of managing remote teams, 58%. Managing local labor employees, 50%. That's where mental issues happen. And I'm telling you, we already have some of our wonderful panelists waiting for us, and we'll get started in a few minutes with them. Other thoughts that you can see in there, and these are comments from, this is the next slide, Milan. These are comments from LSPs and also universities and people that work in the industries, right? They're finding balance. The last couple of years has taught us the benefit of remote work. A hybrid option might be a good compromise for many years. For many teams, it's an LSP. I know some of our panelists will have something strong to say about that. The new normal of the working environment is it's a combination. That's what they are seeing right now. allowing team members to do what they do, to do what they want to do, rather than to allowing team members to be where they want to be rather than where the office is, makes them happy, and in return makes them more productive. So that's interesting. We'll send you this. We won't read them all. You can go to the next slide, Mila. Having a globally dispersed localization team allows for a stronger understanding of local cultures and linguistic practices. I think it's very clear what we're talking about here. How can we then continue getting the benefits of remote work without getting into mental health issues? The next one, and then just recapping the research, and once again, we'll send the information on this for you to see. Accessibility to remote work opportunities is critical for the industry. That's clear. So remote work is here to stay. We will have a lot of remote workers. There is still mental health issues for remote workers. We've seen what it does and what it looks like, what can generate it. Globally dispersed teams are important. Follow the sun continuity. Love that. And then lack of face-to-face interaction and added complexity are the downsides. We know that, so that's important. Before we go, Mila, I want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to look where they can send press releases for multilingual. So if you can share the next slide. If you have any comments on what we've just talked about, just put them there. I know we are tight on time. If you have any announcements for multilingual, if your team meeting, it's opening up a new mental health program for your team members, you can send us a press release about it. There's a new head of human resources in your company. You can share us a press release. So make sure you do that. And for everyone that's here today, if you do not have a free subscription of the magazine, we're going to provide a free subscription of the magazine. We love your support. If you want to send our writers some resources, we will love those. Mila, if you can share the next screen. The next screen has free sub. So if you don't have a subscription of our magazine, use the code LangTalent25 and you'll get a free subscription of these magazines. And for us today, that's that. We'll send you the presentation. I don't know if you have any questions before we move to our next conversation. Mila, if you can share the image of the next panel so that we can make some introductions while our attendees joined us today. Once again, we just talked about mental health and wellness in remote work. We have a wonderful panel upcoming on the future of work. This panel brings together leaders from across the language sector and also from tech sector. We're going to reflect on how work is being redefined, and rather than focusing only on tools or trends, the conversation will center on real shifts in how language and other professionals build careers, how companies think about roles, and how do we find those roles. More importantly, what's the future of that conversation? Let me then make an introduction. I know I'm starting a little early, but I want to praise those that started with us about an hour ago and are still with us. I will also reshare the results for the survey that we did so that our panelists can also see it, even though I posted already. But we have 3 amazing panelists today, which are already waiting for us. Up first, Sebastian Gallo. He is the co-founder and chief operating officer at Torre AI, where he focuses on market expansion, revenue growth, and operational scalability. He specializes in engineering productivity frameworks for teams and individuals, integrating process design, automation, and leadership enablement. His expertise encompasses strategy, operations management, cross-functional team leadership, product development, and business process improvement. We also have Charles Campbell, who is the founder and president of TBO, a provider of talent, translation, and localization services with offices in Argentina, Peru, the Ukraine, and Vietnam. He has over 2 decades of experience in the language services industry and has lived in South America for more than 26 years. Under his leadership, TBO has expanded its services to include TBO Talent, TBO Dev, and TBO Lab, reflecting the company's growth and diversification. And Paula McGrath. Paula McGrath is a recruitment professional with over 20 years of experience in international hiring, particularly within the language services industry. Through her work at International Achievers Group, she collaborates with hiring managers, localization leaders, and business owners to support recruitment strategies and team building efforts. She brings a practical perspective on recruitment, emphasizing professionalism, clear communication, and long-term fit. Hello and welcome everyone to this panel on the future of work.
Thank you.
Mila, you can release the... Thank you so much. Hello, Sebastian, Paula, Charles. Thank you so much for making it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
The first question is going to be really easy. Let's do this. Paula, Sebas, Charles, where are you located right now?
I'm in Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland in Dublin, sitting looking out at the Irish Sea and some lovely mountains.
Fantastic. Thank you. Sebas?
I'm this week in Bogota, in Colombia.
Wonderful. And Charles?
Okay, I'm in Cordoba, Argentina.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you were not tuning in our show before, we are in LangTalent, at least the first edition for 2025. We are on our second or our panel for today, which is the future of work. And we are talking to Sebastian Gallo, COO at Torre AI, Charles Campbell, founder and president at TBO, and Paula McGrath from International Achievers Group. And of course, Mila, we can now take the music. We can now take the music down. The reason why we're having this conversation is because of an internal movement in the language industry. So I'll give the context, of course, for Sebas to learn, to hear a little bit about the language industry. Sebas comes from tech and startups, but all of this is going to relate. What artificial intelligence has done over the past 2 years is really transformed the way in which our industry, language industry, and all other industries work. I've been talking now with people in the elevator industry. Right now, I'm in the Niche Magazine conference, and here are people that work in elevators, and they are talking about how artificial intelligence is getting rid of their jobs. So all industries are going through this, and that raises many different questions, not only about the evolution of roles, but also about identifying talent and where we go with that identification on talent and how that helps build companies. And that's the context in which we are in. But we're seeing many changes. And the first question is going to have to be, what are the most significant ones? What are the most significant changes you are seeing or anticipated in the way we work, both in other languages and within the language industry? We've already seen some of these changes, but what are the other things that are going to happen in our respective industries because of the changes that we are seeing through artificial intelligence? What are the changes in work that we are going to be seeing? And anyone can do it, of course.
Well, what we've obviously experienced is hiring organizations, be they on the buyer or supplier side in the language management industry, are trying to cut costs because they're trying to maintain revenue levels, even though it's actually almost impossible at the moment, and also trying to protect profit where possible. Trying to cut costs means redundancies. So the way that people are working is going to change somewhat because of that alone. I mean, there's obviously a number of other influences, but the number of redundancies that are happening and have been happening for the last 24 months. So individuals, I believe, are going, and it's hard because in some instances it seems to be coming very quickly at some individuals. People need to, in order to stay well, your last discussion was on mental health management, and in order to present effectively and as best that they can when interviewing opportunities come their way, it's important that individuals find a way to accept that there may be a time in their life where they may have to move to contract roles. Individuals may have to accept fractional roles. And for some individuals, that can take a little while to adjust. Now, I'm focusing on the way we work rather than obviously the contributing factors to the changes. But that's the thought that I had when I saw your suggested question. And I think that if individuals are able to move to accepting the new way as soon as possible, it's a little easier to move and spot and work with the opportunities that do exist.
What else have you seen, Sebas? I'm really curious because I know you are in tech. You talk to a lot of startups. What's changing there?
So the first point, and I think that this has been covered in multiple times by multiple people in the past, and it is the remote work, right? Usually you need to be on a place, then you not have to be there anymore. But it has some implications, and I'm not sure if always we are seeing all of them. Yeah, first you need a proper setup, proper sound system, and those kind of things. Yes, that's needed. But on the other hand, what are you doing with the rest of your life? What's the time of commuting that you may be saving? Right? But also the challenges if you're in your house that you can handle the whole background, the noise, everything that is happening around you. So you can make sure that you have everything needed to excel on your performance. And that's something key. Sometimes getting into that remote work or hybrid and you can work from home, and it is like, for me, hybrid is like, I usually do not tolerate. I don't think that's good. I think that it's just a screen on saying like you should go to work to an office, but you can sometimes stay at home and that's it. Like you can sometimes miss your obligation of going to your office because usually it is not the best way to get the best thing of both worlds, but usually it is the opposite. But that's kind of something like a topic that has been covered in some cases. I can get deeper into that in the future if needed. But I think that something even more important is that now with remote work, there are also remote opportunities. And sometimes we don't see how those boundaries are disappearing. So at the very beginning, you needed to be on the same place where the job opportunity was. Now you can work for someone, for a company or a project anywhere in the world. So that means more competitors in terms of offer of talent, right? But a bunch more of opportunities that you can get and cover, right? And there's some asymmetry also in terms of the value of the economy. So how people from some countries where they have let's say, a lower cost of living can get and reach much more opportunities and take advantage of this asymmetry, right? But also, because of all of this technology, AI, data points, structure, and all of this, we are getting to the point where we are seeing people that are getting to take new jobs or responsibilities for a certain period of time predefined. That they're saying like, hey, I accept working for you for the next 10 to 12 months, because after this, I will be leaving. And the candidates, let's say the talent, is getting much more power in that negotiation because they can say like, yeah, this is the time that I need to improve my skill set, to get the knowledge and expertise. So then I can get better opportunities than this one. And also we are seeing companies that are pushing back very hard, but other ones taking that advantage. And they're saying, kind of negotiating and saying like, okay, you're going to stay 14 months, not 12. And I am going to teach you even more things so you cannot get like one level up, but 2 levels up after you complete the period working for me. So what I'm seeing with all of this technology and all of these movements, and I think that this industry is very affected by this, is that the job is getting much more liquid and the job opportunities are more liquid. You can move faster, you can move easier, but also things are much more transparent. And the ones that will win that game on the talent side are the ones that can play all of these pieces and move at the proper pace, but also in terms of companies and projects, the ones that understand that that's happening and that can leverage that on the best talent or In the other case, try to know, okay, what's the kind of talent that I can develop very quick? They will go away, and that's okay. And I will love them to have a very good next opportunity, because that will also help my employer branding and will help me to get the new batch of people that will be working for me.
I love that concept. Jobs are becoming liquid. I think that's very, very interesting. It talks about the period in which we're at, and like the conditions in which we're at. That might, now I'm getting into the metaphor, but we might get into a different scenario in the world where that liquidity would change, and it become more dense. But that would be a different thing to talk about. Charles, what are you seeing? And I understand that you have team members that work remotely. You have others that have to do certain things physically. That's evolving anyways, and it's always been evolving. The TBO that you have right now is not the TBO where you started. What are you seeing, and what do you also see in your clients?
Gosh, Eddie, I mean, it's very difficult to give a concise answer to such a broad question, but there's so many different things going on right now. But what I would say is, if you can remember the World Cup in Italy in 1990, then you will have lived through a recession, and it would have hit you, and you would have had family members lose their jobs, or friends, or even yourself. But if you can't remember watching Italy 90, then you probably haven't lived through a real recession. So it means that any changes to the status quo, unemployment in the United States has gone up from 4% to 4.1%. Okay? In 1991, it went from 5% to 11% in 1 year because of the Gulf War. That was a recession, hemorrhaging jobs. This is a totally different situation, a totally different scenario, with a generation of people, especially in our industry and in the tech industry, who've seen nothing but growth. And now there's we're in a holding pattern. It depends a lot on which country you're in and which role you do, what you want to do, where you want to go. So what are the consequences of this? I see people holding on to their jobs more, perhaps valuing what they have more, not so much focusing on where the grass might be greener. It doesn't mean that people don't voluntarily resign from positions and go out and do new things, but they're doing so with a greater degree of caution, I would believe, than a couple of years ago. So this is just a natural cycle, and AI is only one factor at play here. We have other factors. We have a global slowdown on the way for various reasons related to tariffs and other economic policies. We also have a tightening of the labor market in the United States in particular, and maybe in other countries, due to a shutdown of legal and illegal immigration to a greater degree in the past. It's going to be difficult to find people, both engineers for Silicon Valley and cooks for the kitchen. So there's a lot of different factors at play, and I think it's going to impact everyone in many different ways. But at the end of the day, unemployment is still 4.1% in the United States. So if several thousand people lost their jobs, several thousand people got new jobs. But as Seba says, there may be changing, and those guarantees that you thought you had are no longer there. It's no longer easy to negotiate that raise that you wanted. It's going to be very difficult to get a raise that matches inflation unless you get a promotion. It's going to be a very tricky market that is going to push the laws of economics as we know it. It's exciting times. It seems to me that the market is going in all sorts of different directions at once. And from an individual standpoint, one, reflects on one's individual moment, living from paycheck to paycheck in your location. But there are many global trends out there, and it's difficult to look at the whole planet. Okay, what's going on in the United States is not happening in over 30 countries where unemployment is at over 10%. I just looked at the OECD statistics, and there's a whole bunch of countries where unemployment is 3 times higher than the United States. And Big news. Those countries are the countries with the lowest level of technology adoption. So in my experience, I would say that adopting technology for countries, for companies, and for individuals is the surest way to ensure employment and staying in business for companies. If you want to go the route of busting the machines and being a technology denier, I mean, that's a lost battle. So there you go.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Technology deniers, and we've seen a bunch of those that they are disappearing very, very rapidly, which of course tells us a lot about where everyone thinks this is gonna go. I go to the next question, just digging a little bit into what we're talking about from this first broader question, in particular, and you said it, Charles. AI automations. This means roles have to explicitly change, not just implicitly. What are you seeing out there in terms of the roles that you've been demanded from clients, right? Your clients are asking for roles. What have you explicitly been seeing in terms of skills that are required in artificial intelligence or automation? Because really what I'm looking for is understanding how these technologies, in particular artificial intelligence and automation, are reshaping the specific roles. So do you see clients asking you more for these skills, even as I guess masqueraded as soft skills? I guess being able to prompt, it's gonna be soft skill, I wonder, because I mean it's conversation, right? It should be conversational if you have an LLM. But anyways, the question about the roles that you've been demanded from clients, is that changing? How does that look right now? Is it the same that it was 2 years ago?
Well, we get asked for a very wide range of different roles, but it's one of those things where it seems to change every day, and then you come back 5 years later and it looks more or less the same as it did 5 years ago. Salespeople, project managers, engineers. But if you break away from the big picture and go down into the detail, the nitty gritty, there's certainly a lot more specific detail in what people are looking for, and I see them directly rejecting candidates who do not mention AI on their resume. Now, remember that recruiters, I don't know if Paula does this, but recruiters will often use AI to scan a resume for keywords. And if AI isn't in there, that resume might not even get thoroughly read.
That's great. That's great.
For individuals, if you don't know much about AI, well, start learning. But this is nothing new. I mean, I have an uncle that I love very much. He's like 86. And in the 1980s, he sold fax machines. And then he sold fax paper. And then he used to sell, he said, oh, the fax machines, nobody's using them anymore. And I said, well, there's still a niche. I have an aunt who's deaf, and she communicates with my mother by fax machine. Okay, he said, well, you've got your niche, but the general use for the machine is dying out. But I'm selling these car phones, and he had this great big phone that he plugged in the middle of his car. And then a few years later, he took me down to the marina. I would have been about 15, and he showed me these yachts. And he said, the yachties are now buying satellite phones with GSM digital, I remember, to use out on the ocean. And he kept evolving as a person. And when I met him when I was a child, he was already like in his 40s. And he took every wave of the industry as it came. And then he started doing cell phones, like little Nokia ones, and whatever. And then he retired out just before the smartphones hit the market. I don't know if he even sold Blackberries, But what I'm saying is that the job changed. The specific job of selling fax machines, that was eliminated. Okay? But the same guy did all these other different things. And he had to. And that's it. And that's what we're all going to do.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. This is I love that summary. For me is going to be, this is nothing new, business as usual. Thanks for that, Charles. Paul, do you have something to say about what you see? And then, of course, we'll see what Sebas has there.
In principle, I agree with that. I mean, I actually read a very interesting article that was published by a guy called Justin Custer, the CEO of CXConnect.ai. I actually don't know this person, but he was telling a story about the old model versus the new model. Now, it pretty much says, sorry, excuse me, I'm getting over my cough. The The old model, for the Japanese market, we used to need a Japanese team. For the German customers, we needed German speakers. For French accounts, we needed French agents. It cost us $2.1 million in annual cost, and it cost 4-hour response time. The new model for that exact same situation is we now have 8 top problem solvers, 1 language, AI handles the translation. Our costs have reduced from $2.1 million to $800,000. Our response time has dropped from 4 hours to 15 minutes. Satisfaction by the client was up 30%, costs were down 60%, market coverage doubled and response time cut by 75%. How? We stopped solving for language and started solving for expertise. Now, it goes on a little bit more than that, but right at the end, I'm pretty much agreeing with what Charles has said here, is the future, that's the future of global support. Hire the best problem solvers, let AI handle translation, watch the costs drop, watch satisfaction soar, stop hiring for languages, start hiring for excellence, and let technology bridge the gap. Now, I 100% accept that there are parts of the industry that can't apply because some of the regulated industries, they're so rigid in what's needed that you can't have machines looking after everything. But this was a report that I read, and I actually think it expresses it cleanly what we're seeing in relation to the requests for the type of staff that we need, that we need to hire for our clients. But I agree with Charles. I've been in recruiting industry for far too many years. And I've seen this change comes the whole time. So AI is what's needed now. Prompt engineering is huge. You actually jokingly said, I wonder, is that a soft skill or not? That's actually a very interesting thought. I never thought of it that way. But it's going to continue to change. So this is not suddenly, oh my goodness, what's happening in the world today that wasn't happening 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It was the same situation. It just had they had different names on them. There you go. That's my tuppence worth.
Thank you. Sebas.
Yeah, I like to add some spice, some pepper to the conversation in here, because I think that this is different to moving from selling a fax machine to a phone or something, because it is not a matter of what, it's a matter of how. And that's pretty different. It is like if we go to the construction industry, right? From the beginning of the humankind, I guess, people are saying like, oh, let's go and build a cave, right? Or whatever it is, however it worked, right? So it was a bunch of people gathering together and doing whatever they needed to do to build a house, a cave, or something, right? When we put like fast forward onto Middle Age, then we noted like in the middle of the squares of the towns, people gather to know like, okay, what's my journal? I mean, what should I do today? I will get paid per day, right? Even on the Bible, we can read those kind of things. Like it was like from a long time ago. And recently it has been the same thing. I mean, we hire people to build houses, right? What's the matter of what? It is like, okay, it is a house, it is a building. Those are the things that have been changing. The matter of how is, how are we getting the people? A big revolution, the third revolution was, okay, it is not a matter of people, it's a matter of machines building things. Okay, so now everything changed because the how was modified. In here, how we are using the language is what is evolving or is changing. Now we have technology that can interact with language. In that way, this is, I agree that it is business as usual, yes, but with the fast forward button just put in and putting on hold. And it is always going faster, faster, and faster. Things that we didn't consider will happen like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, 1 year ago, now it's happening. But things that today we're saying like, oh no, it is not possible, may be possible in a couple of weeks and much cheaper, right? So the evolution, or let's say the pace in which this is evolving is going faster and faster. And that's why I think that this is, yes, a revolution. Yes, I agree with what Paula mentioned, like, okay, we just need to hire like smart people or people that can solve things as it always has been, but the how we are doing the things may change. I mean, whatever, yeah, it's very different because, yeah, there are some niches in which people will keep doing things as usual, right? This is not going to change art, right? Yeah, you can create art using GPT and comics and those kind of things, but We always love this human touch on stuff, right? But how we are doing things, and I was talking with someone 2 weeks ago about this, like using AI will be survival level need. It will not be a nice to have. It will be more important than knowing English. It will be more important than knowing how to use Excel. It is as important right now as it is, do you know how to send an email? Do you have an email address? Can you communicate via email? If you cannot, most probably 90 something percent of the potential job opportunities that you may have drop, right? Same thing would happen, and it is already happening in some industries, in some sectors, for some roles. And it is, if you don't know how to use this, someone else will be beside you, right? So, for example, if I'm looking for a translator and I have someone that knows 5 languages, someone that knows just two, right? And we are growing globally. Okay, which one should I pick? Both of them with cell level, excellence, etc., etc. Like, okay, maybe theirs will be obvious. I will go with him or with her, right? Same thing is if you know how to use additional tools to solve problems, it will be an order of magnitude in terms of difference. So how it will be impacting each company, each role, we will see, because it is not a matter of what, it is a matter of how. So remember how it was before using cell phones. Remember how it was before the internet, or before having chat, having WhatsApp, yeah, or having a message, being able to communicate in real time with people. Things changed a lot. This is what we are what we are experiencing right now. Yeah, this is just one piece. We are looking for many other things happening worldwide, but this will be a compound effect in terms of the next status quo that we may be experiencing in 5 years or something will be very different to the ones that we were experiencing 5 years ago.
That's very interesting, Sebas. It seems like the understanding of the things that are going to change, it's still difficult to assess, mostly because it's happening as we speak. So we didn't know we were learning how to send emails until we learned to send emails. We didn't know what spam was until we got that Prince of Nigeria emailing us way too many times. After the first excitement of getting $1,000 million in your account by just helping this Nigerian prince, right? And it seems like we don't yet understand what is the structure of technical knowledge needed to showcase what AI is doing in that how, right? So if we look at sales teams now are using AI to generate sample emails, to generate, how do you call them, proposals, to generate responses, like from the top of the funnel to the moment where you send the proposal to the moment where you close. You can have all of that being Gen AI generated. Now, how you include it in a different workflows, all those hows, I think they are happening as we speak. The use cases are happening as we speak, in sales, in design. Just to give you an example, Adobe Premiere can take our magazine, our entire magazine, and layout. We give it the text, and it suggests layout given our previous designs. So this is crazy, right? It's like, so I usually design this magazine. Here is the text. It's okay, let me see your 100 these previous designs. All right, this, because of your last one, this is what I'm going to suggest. And you have to make changes, significant in most cases, but it speeds up part of the process. Yet that's very fragmented. Right now, I think it takes more time to even do it. So it's faster to just do it humanly because it takes too long. But that's reshaping as we speak. So I understand where you're coming from, Sebas, in that conversation. Of course, I think one of the before we get into other conversations, I think for us, what's really important, and for the audience of LangTalent, which is in many cases companies looking for talent, and in most cases talent looking for work, we want to understand what can they do in practical terms, because what I'm mentioning, right, as it's happening, I'm so unconscious that these things are happening in some cases. I see myself doing things in ChatGPT, and I'm like, it just became part of like checking my email kind of thing, right? So what are the practical things? Because I do understand, hey, be aware of artificial intelligence, be aware that it exists. I think most professionals right now in tech, which most of us here probably are, we are aware of artificial intelligence. Now what? Like what do I do? And of course I bring this question to you because you're all, of course, like company leaders, and in multilingual. I can tell you, I've promoted writing content with the help of artificial intelligence, and editors don't like it. I tell you right now, writers don't like using artificial intelligence, which is great. That's the type of pressure you need, right? You need that type of pressure to guarantee the quality behind that. But for other things like articulating schedules of promotions or working on proposals, which we have done hundreds of times, that is the type of thing that we promote the team to use. Now, what we're looking for is, are there any automations that can we put in place? For example, when we receive content in the form of a press release, let's say we're having an announcement and they would receive it in the company. How can artificial intelligence help in to that level of automations? And surprisingly, there are many companies here in this conference where I am that are offering services like that. We will automate your flows. Of course, they're using artificial intelligence. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like $100 a month. So that's kind of like where I'm coming from. Is there any practical advice you could give to emerging talent, whether it is in this industry or in other industries? These are professionals that are, working on their technical abilities, and then they were selling their fax machines, and then this artificial intelligence thing came, and then we're hearing, no, just be aware of it, and it's going to change everything you do. Just adapt. It's like, all right, what can I do? What can I do to get well educated, to reduce the anxiety? Because these are the topics that we get. This is what people are asking us, and these are the people that your companies are going to hire. I know I just threw a bomb in the middle of the room, so anyone who wants to take it, I'll be happy with that.
Well, I'll go. First of all, I think the speed of change is huge. Because if I look at, so obviously we're speaking, honestly, I don't do recruiting on a daily, day-to-day basis nowadays. So thankfully my team is better at that than I am. But from time to time, the more sometimes mid-management and upwards would come and want to have a chat. And I'm happy, I'm more than comfortable to talk. But what I'm saying to people, that it's key that you understand the terminology that's used. So this is for an individual who's a job seeker, or maybe knows there might be a chance of redundancy in 3 months or 6 months' time. It's absolutely key that you understand today's terminology, and it could be a little bit different to what the terminology for 3 months ago. Because even if I look, when we're speaking to hiring companies, I can obviously see from the CRM, and I do speak to clients, and we can actually look at the job specifications. What they need is changing very fast. This is what I'm seeing. So the individuals that we're talking with, that my company's talking with, the job seekers, they actually have to be on top of that change. And so for an individual, it's absolutely key, I believe, to be read, to actually have a challenging and questioning mind, to make sure you have access to, and access now is really easy. Honestly, it's easy through LinkedIn. It's easy through all the stuff that the industry specialists are posting. And you're getting individuals that are posting from both sides or 30 sides of the same point. I think it's really important that an individual is on top of that, is reading that, is not only reading one opinion, is challenging opinion, technically checking things out to make sure, okay, what does that mean? So, and look at the latest developments that are coming from the technology, the language technology organizations. They're actually bringing out new, I can see it, I'm not a technologist, but even I can see, pardon me, how quickly they're bringing out the new releases, how quickly the new releases are coming out. And I think if you're a job seeker, a practical thing to do is to make sure you can talk the language and understand today's situation, not the one 3 months ago. So sometimes, when people would say to me, I look at their CV and I'd look at their LinkedIn profile, and unfortunately it can look outdated if it hasn't been updated in 6 months. Stuff like that, I think, an individual needs to make sure that they're on top of. Now, I don't know if that's far too basic for the question that you asked, Eddie.
That is perfect for the question that I asked. That it's broad and you can take anything. Let's see what sticks in the wall. I don't know if Sebas or Charles have anything to add.
I mean, there's obviously some basic stuff that you could do. I recently went to a workshop about advanced use of LinkedIn, and a third of the people in the room didn't have a LinkedIn profile. So there you go. And 1/3 probably had a LinkedIn profile that was hideously out of date. Once again, I look at the big picture, and these trends are not unique to our industry. We just believe they are. We're screaming as if it was the end of the world in our industry. But, if you don't know how to use a kitchen robot, you're probably not working in a kitchen. If you don't use digging machines, then you're not digging ditches. So if you don't understand all the different features of a fancy car, then you're not going to be a chauffeur. So this is just par for the course. This is nothing new, but remember, human beings are being expected to work longer. So my 5, and I think he died about 1 or 2 years afterwards. So the working life was shorter, and now we're being pushed out to 40 plus years on the workforce, and it gets harder, I do believe, as you get older to keep up with the technology and to also have the will. Remember that a lot of this depends on the will. We can't force a Japanese linguist who specialized in biomedical translations to use AI and all sorts of other things if he or she doesn't want to. Maybe we can force the really big volume languages where there's an oversupply of linguists to do so. But market economics will dictate a lot of what happens in the future. And as far as I understand it, in English-speaking countries, there's a significant decline in the number of people studying foreign languages. So that, to me, signals a significant labor shortage downriver in terms of how we view the industry today. I don't know what these people are doing instead of studying languages. I'd be interested to see which professions, like, okay, there's more chefs in England than there were 30 years ago when you could only get a meat pie for dinner. Okay, obviously there's a lot more chefs, but people are studying languages a lot less. Does that mean the profession is dying out? No, it doesn't. I mean, when I started out as a linguist in 1997, I was translating driver's licenses, birth certificates, death certificates, wedding stuff. I mean, it wasn't exciting, and a 10-page project was what I thought was a big project. So instead of looking at the photo of where we're at today and drowning in our own anguish, I would look at the whole film, the whole movie, from where we started out in the 80s or 90s or even 20 years ago and where we are today. We're translating significantly higher volumes. We have translation and interpreting companies, localization companies that do $1 billion in sales. We have a whole industry that wasn't even here 30 or 40 years ago. So we just have to accept that maybe we have to have a bad year every now and then, like every other industry on this planet, and then move on and keep retraining and reskilling and so forth. So I think extrapolating that down to an individual level, keep learning, stop complaining, because this is just not like it's our industry is the only industry that's being subject to change.
Yeah, can I just jump in there? Sorry, Charles. I do, obviously, yes, there are organizations, a few, the super agencies are making huge turnover from the language management industry, but they're not doing what they did even 24 months ago. They're not doing that by doing what the services were 24 months ago, which means that the job seekers have to be able to not do something different to what they were able to do 24 months ago. So yes, you're right. The industry still has mileage, I believe. I'm obviously not an expert in it, but the industry has mileage, but both parties have to keep up with what the changes.
And Sebastian, looking at those
an industry that died out.
Pardon me?
I'm trying to think of an entire industry that died out.
Did Kodak? Do you remember? God, I shouldn't be naming these companies, but I'm not saying the industry is dying out, but the way it's being done is different.
So the
So
photography industry hasn't died out, but it's
it's
significantly
been done
evolved.
differently.
That's
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
but it's been done differently. That's the same with the language management industry. It's just being done differently. The services that are being delivered is very different to what was delivered 24 months ago, even 36 months ago, 48 months ago.
Yeah, I guess the Kodak example is probably one of the best examples of what happens if you don't embrace change and you miss opportunities. But the photography industry hasn't died out. Any one of your children or grandchildren or brothers or sisters probably has more photos taken of him or her than a royal prince would have 60 years ago, right?
Oh, for sure.
So,
Boy, is
so
that
things
so.
have just evolved
Yes.
significantly. I think about horses, cars, trains, and planes. So what replaced horse and carriage? The train. What replaced the train? Still there, right? Depends on where you are. Depends on where you live and what you want to do. Things have changed. A lot of those trains have been refitted to be freight trains. I don't know. Europe's different from North America. Eastern seaboard is different from the south of the country. There's different realities all the way around the world. It's complex. What I can say is that the slowest adopters of technology are going to be the ones that earn the least, that have the highest levels of unemployment, that lose business, and that die out. And there's going to be countries that are going to be locked into that cycle, and there's going to be companies that are locked into that cycle. And worst of all, there's going to be people locked into that mentality of, I remember seeing a really cool video when I was doing a business course in the 1990s about some guy with a huge desk at a factory, and he would proudly said that he didn't have a computer, that he did management by walking around. And he literally, they filmed him walking around, and he said, "Hi, Jose," to a guy working on some machine. And then he said, "Hi, hi, Reynaldo," to another guy. And then hello to Mark, who was a supervisor and so forth. And he was charismatic and had a booming voice, and he was unemployed 18 months later. So being proud of not using technology is a complete waste of energy. Now, if you are 2 years out from retirement, then okay, maybe you can deny technology and so forth, but your children and your grandchildren won't be. And when you're sitting at home, you're going to be wanting to communicate to them, and there's nothing better to communicate with your kids than technology. So I just don't see anyone other than the Unabomber living in the hills in a hut, not using technology. Why to be against it? For linguists, I mean, yeah, you can be an interpreter, you can be a project manager, you can evolve into an engineer. Almost none of the engineers in the language industry have an engineering degree. Almost none of the data scientists have a data science degree. Most of them are translators who evolved, retrained, learned stuff. Now, thinking about practical advice, Eddie, I would stop changing jobs too often. So first of all, get a really, really fresh, as Paula said, fresh LinkedIn profile, and stop changing jobs too often. I look at a resume and I see a person who's been 2 years here and 2 years there and 18 months here and 9 months there, and then 1 year and 2 months there. And I think, my gosh, I would almost omit things from my resume when I got to that point. It's as if it's just like that uncle who's been married 5 times. You didn't learn any lessons. I'm not saying that we have to stay in an employer for life. And I'm saying that an employer doesn't have to stay with an employee for life. This isn't, Toyota in the 1980s. I mean, we're here because we choose to work for the company we work for. And we are here because the company chooses to employ us. But that said, I would not do more than 6 job changes every 10 years. I know that's really difficult for someone who's 27 to think about. But, stability and commitment are valued more by people who are in hiring positions than by people who are applying for the positions. So think about that.
Thank you, Charles. And to your point, it refers back again to that sort of like ground level where we have to be regardless of like the stage, the historical moment in where we're at. I'm wondering, Sebas, I'm sure you have not, you might not have not done this a type of analysis, but I know you are confronted with a lot of talent that comes to Torre, and then you see successful talent, and then you see successful companies, and you see them succeeding because they are hiring more. Is there a correlation to this conversation that we're having on like, okay, the talent that's being hired the most often is talent that is doing this type of things, right? Like adapting to change and adapting technologies, and also sticking to jobs a little longer, because that means, you have a long-term impact before you move on to another project. But what are some of the things that you're seeing there, even if it's just anecdotically?
Okay, so a couple of things. First, about changing jobs and that stuff. As I mentioned, I have seen, for example, in BPOs, in call centers, in those kind of places where people tries to hold the talent for a long time, people going up front and saying, I want to be here for a year. So it is not a matter of jumping because, oh no, I get bored, I get tired, my boss, this new generation that usually say people like, oh, they cannot tolerate anything. It is the opposite. It is a strategy. And when it is done upfront, results seem to be very good based on what we have seen. Of course, not many companies do that, and not many people do that, right? What I have seen in terms of successful cases are people that are fully transparent. So, and I will connect this with the answer to your original question, Eddie, about, okay, so what are the actionable items after this for people using AI and technology and those kind of things? And it is, first, we need to learn not why they exist, but what are they used for and how do they work? Why? Because in some cases, we mix things. When I learn from recruiters saying like, to create this and that, I do this prompt on GPT, then it starts hallucinating when I am trying to select the candidates. And I'm like, okay, if the model is hallucinating, unless you're a PhD trying to pass the boundary of the human knowledge, most probably it is because you're using the wrong technology for your objective, right? Because when you're a hammer, but in these cases, we have multiple type of tools, but everything is AI. And the most popular AI is ChatGPT, yeah? Not even the LLM model behind it, but ChatGPT, because that was the interface that got very popular about how to utilize this new wave of AI, right? So, and I'm saying this because here in Torre, we're doing that matching between talent and job opportunities, from recruiters and companies, right? And people trying to say like, I want to optimize my profile, that we call it genome because it has a bunch of structured data points. I want to optimize it for this job in particular. And then for this other job, we're like, dude, you don't know how the technology works. In the way that you have more structured data, you can get better predictions. And in this case, it is a system helping you to get the best job available based on your experience, on your past, but also in the future, in your preferences, on what do you want to get, what do you want to do, right? So when you have that approach, and when you understand like, okay, every tool may work differently, you can get the most out of each one of them, right? So my practical advice on that front will be the first one, go and read. As I was saying, let's go and study, go and check what is it. Is it GPT? What else is there? What's the technology? If you can just go to GPT and say like, okay, what is this boom of AI? What are the different technologies? What are the main use cases? And then you can get a pretty decent overlook of everything that is going on, right? And then after you understand what is there, I think that the next step is, okay, how can I apply it to my daily life? Today, for the things that I'm doing today, it is not common to have something to do where you cannot utilize new AI technology for anything during the whole day. It would be very exotic to have that kind of cases. And in some cases, it is like, I know how to write this. I know I have Grammarly to correct me on this front. Word already does that for me, or Excel. And it is like, yes, but if you are doing the same thing multiple times during the day, you can already automate that. And they may take you half an hour, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 days. It depends on the complexity, of course, right? But in that way, you can be much more efficient in whatever you're doing. And whatever you're doing, I mean, even going to ordering your groceries by your phone or via chat or whatever, and collecting the information from your whole family. Okay, what else do you want to get? And that can be automated. And it can be automated by anyone without technical knowledge. And that's the beautiful thing of this kind of technology, that the interface is being language, as I mentioned. But so when you can get to that point, you can go further and do much more things than the ones that you initially imagined that you can do. If you understand what are those things, and I'm talking about family life, I'm talking about your hobbies, and of course, I'm talking about work, right? So because I don't know if you have seen like those trends about that Gilby cartoons, pictures, and stuff. That's the first layer, right? Go and play with it, just to throw something and be amazed with the result, right? But then you can go to the next layer, and it is, I want to learn something. So I don't know, like general knowledge stuff, right? Okay. But then I can go to the next one. It is, I want to do some deep research. I need to be very careful about the result, not conclusion, but let's go and research for me so I can get much more input. So then I can make better decisions. Then next layer, how can I automate things? Next layer, how can I create even agents that can automate multiple types of tasks and put one after the other? Next level, how can I build systems that can make things to happen one after the other? So even if for some roles, for some position right now, this doesn't have a direct relation to like, oh, really, this will not affect me. I don't know, this is too far. The boundary of the things that can be done, automated with AI, right, with these new technologies, is going farther and farther. So if you don't spend at least 10 to 15 minutes per day or a couple of hours per week, the gap will be higher. And for me, the actionable item, that sounds very basic. I think as Paula mentioned, like it is go and study, but it is go and study every day if possible, or every week. At least go and read 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, what's up, right? What's next? And go and play with it. Because just knowing how should you write, how should you speak, what can be the result, even if it is just a mess, right? Because that mess maybe in a month it will not be a mess, right? That can help you to be not on the edge, but much closer to the edge than maybe 70, 80, 90% of the people in the world. So yeah, you need to be very curious, as Charles was saying, like, yeah, you need to have that interest. I do not think this should be like top to bottom approach. It should be per individual. Any company has succeeded at least as of now without changing strongly the things like I will fire you if you don't do things, right? It will be very classic. But without that, if you want just to encourage people to do it, it should go bottom up. I mean, it should be the interest of each person. What I have seen companies doing is trying to get them some tool like, hey, what if you go and play with this? Hey, have you tried doing that? And usually the curiosity of people starts with personal things because they feel that vulnerability. I mean, all of us, we are ignorant with the leading edge of this technology, right? But we can get closer to that, at least to a decent level for our daily lives, because we are not that technical on that front, with just some hours per day. In a matter of 1 month or something, we can be really on the percentile, I mean, very on the top, because not many people is being curious. So that curiosity, and applying that curiosity on reading 10 to 5 minutes, right? Or 15 minutes, and then playing with it, doing whatever stuff for also 10 to 15 minutes. If you understand the logic behind that, you can get amazing results in your personal life in what you should learn, right? What's the best way to learn a new skill, right? If you want to learn a new language, if you want to play a new sport, if you want to be healthier, like what can be this protocol to optimize? And you can be surprised with those small things, how they can compound and get better results. So that would be my action on that front.
Thank you, Sebas. And I was just
I would
thinking,
say, Sebas,
yes.
that, at the end of the day, you've still got to know what 13 times 13 is, even if you have a calculator. So what I'm trying to say here is that with all this upskilling, with all this adoption of, let's give you an example of using Grammarly and ChatGPT to write. If you don't have the skills, if you don't develop your own intellect, if you don't get an education, then these tools will not be enough on their own because they are tools. If you think that they're going to replace you entirely, then you are adding no value and that you will not be necessary for your employer. That is the person who will be replaced, the person that adds no value, right? You add no value because the machine can do it. So just remember that the machine can't do everything, or maybe it can't do specific things today that it will be able to do tomorrow. But you're going to be learning new things that you can do tomorrow that you don't know how to do today as well. But my message is, don't get lazy. I wouldn't use ChatGPT as your default to write a love letter or to write a letter to a client. I would do it myself, and then maybe fall back on ChatGPT if I don't like my original content. Why? I'll give you an example. LinkedIn, which we talked about, hates repetitive content. It hates things that are produced by ChatGPT. That's punished by the algorithm. Once we've seen 4 or 5 movies all the same about dystopian teenagers, we get bored of them, right? Because they're all the same. My 14-year-old daughter is going through like all these dystopian movies that could have been written by ChatGPT. Okay, we know ChatGPT is not Proust, right? But we still got to know who Proust is. And we'll be looking into a generation of people who will be very lazy if they do not develop their own skills in addition to what technology can do for them. We still got to do some heavy lifting ourselves. That's my message. So just don't get lazy. Keep sharp. Keep classy.
I think that
that's amazing. Please go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I think the philosophical point is very valid, Charles. It's just an ongoing challenge between the philosophical imperative and the commercial push. It's interesting. It's always interesting. Yeah. I don't disagree with the principle, but big but.
No, I absolutely agree on don't being lazy. The point is, where should you be putting your energy and your focus? So, for example, I do the opposite approach, the one that you mentioned. I do not start drafting things from scratch if I'm going to write a letter to a client. If I'm going to write a cold outbound message, I will not do that ever. What I will do is I will invest some time bringing information, researching, even from my own past messages. What's the reply rate? What's the open rate? What are those kind of things? Based on this, how can I collect this and that? So my effort, I must not be lazy, and people must not be lazy. Absolutely agree. But if I can leverage my time, my energy, my focus, not drafting the letter, but drafting some context to prompt some things that then I can check, review, and with my knowledge and understanding, selecting and adjusting, that will be very different. Because basically, when we're talking about AI and GPT and prompt, which is the most popular, as I mentioned, you can always kind of find a correlation between if people is doing that effort or not, based on how long is the prompt of the people. And I'm not talking about how many iterations and how many chats, how many messages have you exchanged, but it is how much effort did you put on, this is the whole context, this is the kind of a structure, this is the way that I want you to start resonating, right? And based on that, what may be the things? So I absolutely agree with the principle. Please do not be lazy. And for everyone that is listening to us, don't be lazy. Start experimenting. Where is the place where you should put your effort to get the best results? For many things, it will be different. I'm not saying that it is black and white, but the needle is moving.
Right. So more than 200 years ago, Benjamin Franklin said that if you gave him 6 hours to chop down a tree, he would spend the first 4 hours sharpening his axe. So yes, this is the 2025 version. I guess I'm just an old-fashioned creative. But in terms of the language market, there's no doubt about it. You've got to be. If you're not, I mean, I would be. I think Renato Beninato has said this several times, that if you don't, use technology, you will be replaced by somebody who does. So that's it, across the board, no doubt about it.
This is fantastic.
If you go back to the Luddite movement in England in the late 17th century, was it? Machines don't replace human beings entirely. Unemployment is at a historical low. We're not living in a society like that movie WALL-E, where everyone's sort of in a reclining chair having a huge soda with machines doing everything, and everyone has become obese and just floats around watching TV while the machines do everything. That's not where we're at, right? But I do think I'm going to be sparring off next week with Andre Hemker, who's retiring from the language industry and is going to run a dirt bike business in the mountains in Portugal in the forests. And he's like, I'm changing machine translation and AI for chain lube. I think there is going to be plenty of us who are at some point are going to just get so sick of staring at a screen, right? You know, and I want to do something else. Screens all day long. I'm already at that point where, in terms, I don't like using screens for entertainment outside of my work. I mean, I don't watch TV anymore. I don't even watch. I mean, not watching much Netflix anymore. I want to go outside. And, you know, I think this is all gonna go in cycles, philosophically speaking. And I think on an employment level, we're just evolving. We're just evolving. And once again, don't get lazy, because machines aren't going to replace you.
That is fantastic. And it seems like the future of work is going to have echoes of the past. It's going to have echoes of the present. And I think we all agree in where we are at, what's the state of everything, and what people should be doing in practical terms to do that. I want to thank everyone who's joined us today at LangTalent. We will have another session in about 2 months. Of course, I want to give Paula, Sebas, and Charles an opportunity to tell us a little bit more about, you know, their companies, where they can find, where everyone who is listening to this or watching this live or recording can find you. And just as a note, you know, Charles, I mentioned to all of you, Vamos Juntos next year is going to happen again. And also, TBO Talent has some talks for talent that, you know, I think they are going to be reactivated. Charles, is that the case? I think
yeah, that's right. The TBO Talent Forum is kicking off next week, and it's as I just said, I'm going to spar off with Andre Hemker, who, as I said, is retiring to run a motorcycle business in the mountains in Portugal, whereas I haven't got to that point of burnout. Still love my job, still love working with the people I work with, still love working for the people I work for, still love every day, not every single minute of every day. So we're going to spar off about, you know, is this the end? Because his thesis is
the
yes,
end.
It's
That's
end.
interesting.
My thesis is going to be, it's the end for you. Well, not even the end. It's just the next step. It's the next, you know, metamorphosis. But yeah, so TBO Talent Forum, we're always looking for speakers. It's a once a month event. It's real cool, lots of fun.
Where can we register?
Oh gosh, it's like a really long
LinkedIn, TBO.com.
LinkedIn address. But if you Google the TBO Talent Forum 2025, or you Google my name, it'll come up real quick. I can.
All right, we will put a link for the LinkedIn event on the comments for the YouTube and also the LinkedIn live stream that we've had right now. Paula, where can we find you? Where can we find the International Achievers Group?
We obviously have our website, which is internationalachieversgroup.com. On top of that, we have a monthly podcast. Myself and Bruno Herman, the wonderful Bruno, are actually the hosts. And we get to speak with predominantly individuals that are top voices from the client side, so that we can make sure that we're staying on top of what pretty much the buyers of the service, the language services, need. Pardon me. So that's broadcast, and it's top. We have a LinkedIn page. If you look for top voices, you'll find that. I can't think of anything else to tell you, but I'm always happy to chat to anybody who wants to chat.
Fantastic. We can find you also on LinkedIn, same as Charles, and we'll make sure we put some of those links on the comments. Sebas, last but not least.
Yeah, Torre.ai, basically. You can see it here is on the name. Yeah, I mean, what we are doing is matching that opportunities with people to make work fulfilling. So yeah, it will be a good chance for you to test also technology, to learn about it. And yeah, we see a future with that kind of liquid work. So if you're interested in something like that, it will be a good opportunity for you to go and check what it's there.
Yeah. Fun story. I found the language industry at Torre, and I've been here now for 2.5 years, talking about staying longer in industries and switching.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you everyone who's listening to this conversation today. Once again, fully invited to the event with Charles next week Paula also has her podcast. Follow the podcast, follow our podcast. Go to Torre AI. Thank you so much for joining us today. That has been everything. My name is Eddie Arrieta. I'm the CEO here at Multilingual Media. Thank you, Camila, for helping us in the background make all of these happen. And talk today over email within the next couple of days. Until next time, goodbye. Thank you, everyone, for joining this panel.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.